Hello friends, I'm not going to waste any of your time, so let's hop right into it. So tip number one for overcoming writer's block is to start writing anything that pops into your mind and let it be very, very random. You can write as much or as little as you want until you feel like you're warmed up enough to start on your real story. Now, just to be clear, these will be short 1 or 2 sentences, almost like writing prompts, but do not allow yourself to jump in and flesh these out into full short stories or anything. If you feel the need to jump on one of these and to keep writing about it, then chances are your writer's block is cured already. Great job. So for tip 2, let's say that the first tip is no good for you. You might think that you just aren't creative and couldn't come up with any ideas at all. This is okay. Something that helps a lot of people out there is taking a break and stepping away. There's no rule that you have to start your book or your story today. What I would greatly suggest is to go watch a movie that is in the genre that you want to write about, but here is the important part. Do not just sit there and idly watch the movie for entertainment. You are watching this to get sparked, to learn, to better your own storytelling abilities. Take notes about some of the scenes. How do the characters interact with each other, for example? How does the story go from one point to another? How do they introduce conflict or violence? How could I write this myself to make the reader see what I'm seeing and watching? How do they build a believable setting that I, as a viewer, believe that a world like this could and does exist? Give that a try and you'll see how truly powerful it is and can be for you. Okay, tip 3. Once you know what your book or story is going to be largely about or based on, write down a few ideas on things that you might want to happen in the story. Emphasis on might. This is just as easy for a short story as it is for a full novel because you don't have to worry about trying to use all these ideas, for example. These are just simply to have in your back pocket to use later if you want to. If you already have started your book and are in the middle of it, this is hugely helpful on deciding where to take your reader next. So write down 10 or 20 of these little ideas, and if one seems appealing to you, then you have a winner. Take that idea, get inspired by it, and start deciding on how you want to deliver that storyline or plot line into your book. Tip 4. Let's say you're in the early parts, middle, or near the end of your book, it doesn't really matter, and you have all these ideas written down from step 3, or tip 3. Let's say you've already written out a scene or section of your novel using one of these ideas from the last tip. Go ahead and write a second or even a third of these ideas, and I'm talking a full scene here, even if they have nothing to do with the previous one that you've already written. Your job in tip 4 is to write a few of these ideas into more solid story points rather than just fledgling ideas. Now, the fun part, and where it can get even crazier and creative, is to find out how you want to connect those points or sections that you've written. If they are close together in terms of the timeline that you want, then it should be pretty easy. It's just up to you to decide on how you want to. If you've written one scene that's early in your book and then one that you want to use way later, then don't try and worry about trying to connect them. You still have your entire middle of your novel left to write to piece those parts together. This is just to get something on paper so that it isn't so blank and intimidating for you. For the last tip, we're going to do an exercise that might seem weird at first for you, but it could totally unleash your imaginative side. So invent 2 characters in your mind. They don't have to have backstories or anything, just 2 simple characters like Jim and Bob. Put your hands on your keyboard, your typewriter, or your pen and paper and just start writing a dialogue between the 2 characters. It can be about anything at all, literally anything. And the less you think about it, the better this exercise will be for you. Chances are you're going to start with them talking about the weather or something simple, but if you let yourself get into it and let your creative side take over, they can begin to talk about anything imaginable. Eventually, your subconscious is going to take over and you'll be writing hilarious stuff on autopilot that you could use directly into your story or just to get your creative juices flowing. For example, last night I saw a dragon riding overhead. It nearly burnt my hair off, Jim exclaims. Really? A dragon? I remember when I saw my first one, Bob reminisces. It took my poor Carla way up into the air, dropped her right out of the blue. I was screaming and shouting and waving my arms, but to no avail. Bob licks his lips before continuing. I dove as far as I could, arms outstretched, and that's when, hey, by the way, Jim interjects. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.